Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode numero 27 of the NordCast. It is Thursday, June 1st, 2023. I'm your host, Nord97 here, joined with Carter. How are we doing?
We are doing pretty solid right now, not gonna lie.
That's good to hear. And no Jack, unfortunately. Jack is not here for this one. Now, ironically, it is his birthday. His birthday was a few days ago, so sucks he couldn't be able to come on. He's busy this week, but he is done school, so that's strange. However,
Common Blackhawks fan L.
yeah, I agree.
But they did get the first overall pick, so.
Oh, I want to talk about that later, but Evan, you go ahead.
We will talk about that later. However, I have a guest here today. We brought him on, I believe, 5 episodes ago, around there. It's Seth, Chason. How are we doing today?
I'm doing great. We'll get to this later, but Kyle Dubas in the office, and boys, I am pumped up and I am ready to go.
Now, for those who don't know, Seth is a Pittsburgh Penguins fan. We had him on.
If you couldn't tell already,
If you couldn't tell by the jerseys for our video listeners.
Oh my god!
And I got 2 in the closet. it's bad.
Crazy, dude.
I'm broke.
In case you were wondering, definitely a Penguins guy.
But yeah, Seth, can you tell us a little bit about yourself besides the Penguins fandom, like what you do with your radio stations, like all that good stuff?
Yeah, so I'm a volunteer at Hartford Community College Radio. I do that. I have 3 shows. One I'm 4 weeks behind on, and we'll get to that eventually. The Center Ice podcast, but I have a talk show that's Friday nights from 9 p.m. to 11, and it's just kind of bullshit for 2 hours. It's a lot of fun, and we have a bunch of new segments we added last week, and I do that. I have a show where I DJ for 3 hours, play my songs, and just have a good old time. And then I currently work for the company that owns, for those of you who are from Baltimore or from the Maryland area, Mix 106.5, 101.9, and 105.7 The Fan, all Baltimore-based stations. I do promotions. I do backup traffic, so if they need me to, come in. And then I also am the voice of Hartford Community College Athletics, so I do play-by-play for some of their sports.
Yeah, so if you couldn't tell, this guy does a lot of stuff.
Yes.
And I love some of the stuff that he does. And I brought him on episode 22, I believe. We talked for about 45 minutes.
It was the twist, something with the twister or something
Tornado
like that.
bracket.
It was either 22 or 23. I can't remember.
It was around there. And Carter couldn't join us for that, but it was me and Jack, and we had a really good conversation with Seth. And I definitely knew that if we had a point and we had an option where we could bring him back on, we definitely should. And here it is. Here's our window. And he probably picked the perfect episode because we're in that time between the conference finals and the Stanley Cup finals where there's a lot of discussion whether or not whoever's going to win the cup. It's between the Florida Panthers and the Vegas Golden Knights in this year's Stanley Cup final. Now, each team has not won a Stanley Cup this year. This year. Ever. Great, I messed that up. But each team has not won a Stanley Cup ever in their existence. Vegas has been around since 2018. Florida's been around since the late 1990s.
93? Or was it, or 96?
I don't remember. Probably
one of those two.
No, because... Yeah, it was 93 because they made the finals in 96, and that was their 3rd year in the NHL. So, yeah, both of these teams definitely have gone through some struggles. So, we'll start out with Florida. Did any of you expect Florida to be here?
No, I really didn't.
Carter's shaking his head.
I didn't in round 1, but after round 1, I expected them to be here.
Yeah, look, I gotta be honest, I had them bouncing out in round 1. Seth, did you have them out in round 1 too?
So I did, and it was only because of Boston. And I think Boston, I don't know what happened, all right?
I'm still
Boston,
shocked they lost that series.
I mean, Boston, imagine coming in, right? So you set the record for the winningest team in NHL history, and you get bounced by a team that, and I said in my own words, a fringe playoff team. I take that back now. This team is primed and ready. They are up and down the lineup. Each player has contributed every single night. Bob is just, now we know why he's worth, what he's being paid, 11 million or 8-9 million.
Yeah, there were talks of that contract getting traded, and now that contract is like looking actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know about paying him that much, but
He's still a little bit of an overpay, but I think,
hey, if
he's
he wins the cup,
finally.
then we'll shut up.
Yeah, I mean, he's finally in that mindset where, and he did an interview the other day where he's like, I praise God for where I'm at right now, and he's worked his tail off to get to this point, and look, I'm going to cheer for these Panthers guys.
I gotta be honest, I am too. So
Meanwhile,
for
he
the
has the
series,
Vegas jersey in the background.
He's got the Florida one too.
I didn't see that.
He's got 2 Vegas ones, so.
No, the Vegas one's for the finals preview that I got to do on YouTube soon, so that's gonna come out tomorrow.
Still 2
along with
Vegas
this
jerseys.
podcast. And anyways, again, I can't believe they beat Boston. It's not like Tampa Bay where they got swept by Columbus, and not saying Columbus made the finals and all that. They didn't. Ironically, they got knocked out by Boston in the final. And so, anyways, but Boston was up 3-1 in that series. It looked like the series was over, and it looked like Boston was going to move on to play what looked like Toronto at that point. But then Florida just started playing some really good hockey. I believe they haven't lost a single game on the road since game 1. In fact,
I think you're right. Or did they drop the first 2?
No. They dropped the. What game did they win?
they won. They won game 2. They haven't lost on the road since game 1 of the first round. Think about that. For a team that is the 8th seed, that is unbelievable. I wasn't a hockey fan when the LA Kings went on their run as the lowest seed, and they were on the road for almost every single series. But this is unbelievable. Watching this team too is so entertaining. Matthew Tkachuk, God bless him. 16 games played, 9 goals, 12 assists, 21 points. This guy's so entertaining. And I was listening to the 32 Thoughts podcast by Friedman and Merrick. And they were talking about, because Tkachuk went on the inside of the NBA. He went on to the NBA TNT pregame. And it made me think, and it made them think as well, Tkachuk could not just be a good player for the sport of hockey, but also for all the sports, and could really help grow this game. Because seeing him go on this run is really good for the NHL. Really, really good.
Yeah, and I think as someone who he has a personality. He's not, I think I don't know if it was you that said it or someone else. I know someone said it that he has done more for to grow the game than McDavid has, and whoever said it is not wrong. He's done more interviews. He's done a lot more stuff to promote the game, I would say. And because people are going and watching him, not the other way around, if that makes total sense.
No, it makes a lot of sense. And there was talk around when the Oilers were still in the playoffs. We were thinking back to a few weeks ago. There was talk of oh, McDavid's so dry and his answers are so dry and this and that. On a level, I understand why his answers can be dry, because if you say how you really, really feel, then it could be taken the wrong way on social media, and the press could take it the wrong way, and it could just cause a lot of trouble. That's why some players, I don't think a lot of players really like talking to the media, especially after a loss. They don't really like talking to the media that much, and I do think though Tkachuk definitely has a better personality than McDavid, 100%. Some other notable players on Florida: Carter Verhaeghe, 16 games played, 6 goals, 9 assists, 15 points. Verhaeghe, the overtime hero. I know. What do you say?
Carter, me, I did it.
Carter. Yeah, Carter Verhaeghe. Scored the overtime hero in the first round against the Bruins. Was a very key player through a lot of these series. Alexander Barkov still playing a solid defensive type game. Sam Reinhart and Sam Bennett, both two really solid players with the name Sam. Coincidentally, they both have the same amount of points. And then Brandon Montour, who kind of cooled down after that Boston series, but is still a really notable defenseman on that Panthers blue line. And then Sergei Bobrovsky as well, of course, as we mentioned, has been playing on his head. 14 games played, 11-2 record, a 2.21 goals against average, and a .935 save percentage. Now, in the first round, when they started Alex Lyon, I was optimistic about that. And then Bobrovsky started game 4 after the two abysmal games out of what's his face? Lyon. And ever since Bobrovsky's come in, they've only lost twice. So just absolutely insane. Like, he has been a really good goalie, facing like 40, 50, 60 shots a game. Like, and this team too is getting outshot the majority of these games. Like, even though like they beat Toronto in 5, and even though they swept Carolina, they were still getting outshot and maybe even at points outplayed during those series. But Bobrovsky stood on his head.
Yeah, and I feel like Florida got a couple lucky bounces early in that Carolina series, and I think that's really what set the tone for this team. And then once they got 2 wins in, right, they got those 2 road wins. Like, look, I think we can do this, and they swept them. And I still can't get over Leafs fans saying we want Florida. Well, you got them.
Yeah, you did get them. We didn't talk about that series because, of course, we didn't have a podcast last week. Unfortunately, we apologize. But I honestly would argue that really wasn't like a full sweep, because it felt like Carolina was right there, and it wasn't like the games were like blowouts and like every game was a blowout. No, every single game was close. 2 of them went to overtime. One of them was a 1-0 score, and then the other was, of course, like a 4-3 win for Matthew Tkachuk with like 4 seconds left. So a lot of those games were close, and it honestly was the closest sweep I've ever watched. So just want to give credit to Carolina there. I think I had them at one point winning the Stanley Cup, but I think they're honestly on the cusp of getting there. Maybe not this year, but next season. But it's not.
I think they need to help out Aho here. I mean, they've got a lot of really good pieces, and you played a very tough Florida team, and like you said, that whole series, like I saw them going to 7. I saw Florida winning in 7. Because just after that first game, I'm like, okay, this is going to 7.
Yeah, I felt like it was going to 7 too. And I feel like if Carolina won game 2, I feel like this series could have changed way different, and Carolina could have had the upper hand. But Tkachuk, man, he's carrying. He's just that guy, honestly. Carter, you got any thoughts?
Yeah, I've kind of been silent this whole time, but quite honestly, Nord brought this up to me. When Florida was down 3-1, I did not have faith in the Florida Panthers. I said there is no universe or no way that they will come back against Boston.
Coincidentally, that was in the episode where we brought Seth on. I just realized that was
really?
the episode where we brought Seth on.
Yeah.
So this was after we fired Hextall then?
I believe. Was it? I can't remember.
Because I remember it was the day after they lost to, or the day after the season was over. I didn't know. But sorry, continue. Sorry, continue.
I can't remember. I can't remember.
That's dialed in on his Pens talk, guys.
Yeah, we're talking about Pens in a little bit, so I know he's ready for that. But Carter,
he's itching. He's itching.
No, I just want to rub in the fact that we fired Hextall. But go ahead. Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
We'll get there.
So I had no faith in this Florida Panthers team, and then when they took it to 7 and they lit up Ullmark, I'm like, there's a chance that Florida can win this series. Like, when they won Game 6, that was when I was like, okay, Boston's rattled. They don't know what goalie they're going to run with for Game 7. Like, do you trust Ullmark or do you go with Swayman? And they had no clue, and it showed. And then Florida took advantage of that. They won that game. I think that game was in overtime. Game 7?
Game 7, yes.
Yeah, so Game 7, they took it in overtime. And since then, I've been riding this Florida Panthers wagon. I've been like, hey, I had them beating Toronto. I had them beating Carolina. Coincidentally, the only person to take them in both those series. So, yeah.
Me and Jack. I think I had Florida in the conference finals.
Really?
Did I not? Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure.
Look, both these teams I doubted, like, pretty much all the way through. I'm pretty sure I had Florida winning in the conference finals against Carolina, but not in 4 games and 7 games. So.
No, definitely. And, looking, there's, obviously Sergei Bobrovsky. This guy has played unreal. Didn't come in as a starting goaltender. Came in down 2-1 in the series. Coincidentally, it went to 3-1, but whatever. He has been absolutely lights out. Probably one of the best goaltenders since he came in, by far. He's been unreal. And then the great thing about this Florida Panthers team is just they are such a pain to play against. Matthew Tkachuk, definitely their best player. Not only can he score goals, he can pass the puck. He will hit you every single time. He's such a fun player to watch, Matthew Tkachuk. Same with a bunch of their guys like Sam Bennett. That guy can score goals too. He plays the body. Sam Reinhart, he does the same thing. He scores goals and he does everything, man. Like they are such a well built team for the playoffs. They have the right pieces for the postseason, and it's showing right now. So quite honestly, I'm very happy for the Florida Panthers here.
Guys like we're not even mentioning like some of the other players that have contributed, like Nick Cousins, Radko Gudas have also been very key players in this run. Like those guys, they're not talked about, they don't score the points, but they really help out on the physicality end for Florida 100%. So
See, I think
we got anything else? Oh, sorry.
Sorry. I was gonna say the Gudis has been, I feel like he's one of those character players, right? You always need one of those character players in the locker room. He's one of those guys that, one, he's a funny guy, and that intimidation. When he was kind of yelling in, what was it?
Is Wall.
Well, yeah, that's right. Because I forgot he was put in there. But did we ever find out what happened to Samsonov? Before I get off topic.
No, you're not. You're fine. I don't know. I think he's fine now. Well, I think he's hurt, but I don't know about like contract wise or anything.
I meant like injury, but
I'm not sure. I know
when he was
hurt,
yelling, when he was yelling in Wool's face, like after they scored that OT goal, like that was that's a classic. I love seeing the downfall of Leafs fans. It's the greatest. It's like seeing Boston fans lose. I hate Boston.
No one loves a Toronto downfall more than a Canadian.
Yeah,
I will tell you that. I've said this many times. I hate sports networks in Canada because they are constantly sucking off Toronto. Anyways, we can move on from that now.
You got anything else?
Continue.
The Panthers?
No, not on this side.
So yeah, we all doubted this team pretty much all the way through. But you want to know a team that I doubted for all three series, except for the first one? I doubted Vegas pretty much the entire way through this year's playoffs, besides the first round. And I gotta be honest, they played well, and they're a team that like is really deep. They can run four lines, they can roll all four lines, and still have a.
That's what happens when you're over the salary cap.
Yep.
We don't have to get into that.
Just like the stupid little hat you're wearing, the Mickey Mouse Tampa Bay Lightning,
Oh, I thought you were referring to me. Jesus Christ.
No. I said the Mickey Mouse, or meant the Mickey Mouse Tampa Bay Lightning.
I randomly picked this hat out. I know. Yeah.
Were you trying to piss me off?
No, I was not. I spin wheels whenever because I wear different hats when I'm on here.
Okay.
Like I just wear a random ass hat. I should have.
How many hats do you have? Just off topic. How many hats do you have?
Oh, good God. Like close to 40, probably. Close to 40.
I'm not gonna lie.
Oh
I used to be a big hat guy, but every single school I went to would not allow hats, so I just stopped wearing hats, and now I only wear them on occasion.
My school.
You act like they would schools in America. They wanted to like crucify you if you wear a hat. Like it's at least in my high school.
Wear a hat.
Really?
Yeah.
They're like hoods and hats off. They were like they're Nazis about everything, but
they don't like hoods.
I digress.
They like hats though.
See this I don't know if you can see it, but that little pile there in the corner, that's like all the hats I have, and I've got a bucket hat my buddy gave me. It was the free bucket hat for the Penguins. So
nice.
But off topic. Go ahead. Sorry.
All right. So Vegas, they beat Winnipeg in 5 games in the first round. Sorry, Carter. Then they beat the Oilers, and a lot of people, including myself, had the Oilers going all the way. Like I don't want to say that was the consensus pick, but that was like the pick that a lot of people fared to, because last year's run to the conference finals really made it seem like, yeah, they could take that big step next year, and they really didn't. Goaltending kind of affected that, but not Edmonton time. Then they beat Dallas 4-2 in 6 games. That looked like a sweep. I kind of blame Jamie Benn for the reason why. Or sorry, for the reason why they lost and they got their butts kicked in Game 6. Still feel like it's Jamie Benn's fault. But yeah, they're in the finals. And honestly, of these two teams, like personally rooting, I don't really know who I'd want to win. Like this is kind of a cup final that I'm like, I don't know. Who do you guys want to win? We'll start off with that.
Carter, you go first. I've been talking this entire time.
Go Panthers.
Yeah, Panthers. That's what I'm looking towards.
I don't. Here's the thing. I don't want Vegas to win a cup. They are. It's just unfair to every other franchise, right? They've been in the league for what? When did they come in?
2018.
2018, yeah.
17.
Yeah, so they've been in here for 6 years and have had way more playoff success than any other team. And if they win a cup in 6 years, for every other franchise that has not won a cup yet and everything like that, it's just sad. So I just don't want that to be the case, but I also really do want Florida to win the cup. So I'm heavily rooting against Vegas, and I'm heavily rooting for Florida.
Yeah, Seth?
See, look, I don't hate Vegas for the same reasons you do. I just hate them because they screwed over Marc-Andre Fleury, and that's the only reason why I hate them. Their jerseys are awesome. You know, they've got Teddy Bluger on their team, so that's a plus. You know, they've got Phil Kessel on their team, which is a plus. But I'm going to have to say the Florida Panthers. I'm going to ride the hot hand here. You know, I'm going to say, and my co-host Evan for my Night Owl show, he said that. Not this Evan, another Evan. But he said that if you're Florida, you cannot let Vegas take you to 6 or 7. You're going to have to win in 4 or 5. I'm going to take, roll cats in 5.
Yeah, I kind of agree, to be honest with you. I'm leaning towards Florida. Some notable players, Jack Eichel, and this is what I like. There's so many storylines around a lot of these players. Eichel, 17 games played, 6 goals, 12 assists, 18 points. In fact, like this is his first ever playoff run. First ever. Like he's never been in the playoffs before. And when he got traded to Vegas, I was like, it's all right. I was like, I didn't know he was going to come back from that surgery, really. But he did, and then, of course, last year they missed the playoffs, which a lot of people seem to be rooting for that, which was funny. But, yeah, Eichel, really solid this year. Jonathan Marchessault as well. Came very key in a lot of games. And I have a Marchessault jersey. That's a Marchessault jersey right there. He played really well in the second round and the third round, just scoring the goals that they needed. Mark Stone, there's that controversy around the salary cap. I know, Carter, you're giving me that face.
No, I'll be completely honest. I don't like Mark Stone.
Why?
Dude, he looks like a balding middle-aged Lord Farquaad, dude.
I'm not gonna lie, Nord. It's a Winnipeg thing.
That's true, yeah, because this team did beat your team. So.
Well, no, and also he's from Winnipeg too.
Did he play in Ottawa for a couple years?
Yeah, and that's when he got blown up by Dustin Byfuglien in Winnipeg. Proudest moment of my life.
Oh, man. Ivan Barbashev, a deadline acquisition, has been playing really good. And they got him for, basically nothing, too. So, he's going to get paid. He's one of those guys that, if Vegas, can't sign him and he walks, he's going to get paid. He's going to get some good goddamn money wherever he goes. William Karlsson as well. Has been with this Vegas team since day one. And then Chandler Stevenson, an unlikely player who not many people know about, but is actually a really underrated guy. I thought he's a really solid forward and a really good center and is very valuable. And then Aiden Hill is in net. Now, I believe Laurent Brossoit was actually the starter for the first half of this playoffs. And then he got hurt. And then Aiden Hill came in and has played really, really good. 11 games played, a 7-3 record, a 2.07 goals against average, and a .937 save percentage. As someone who is an Arizona Coyotes fan and saw Aiden Hill start out there in Arizona, it makes me really proud to see him make it to the finals, honestly, because he was a goalie that we developed. He actually played pretty well. Went to San Jose, didn't look too good, but then got to Vegas and has been great. So, yeah, I really like that. Game by game, how this game by game series has gone in the regular season. Of course, these teams only play twice, so it's only 1-1. The first game was a win by Vegas, and then the second game was a win by Florida. But honestly, it feels like the whole world seems to be leaning towards Panthers. This whole podcast is leaning towards Panthers, but overall, I asked what you guys are rooting for. What is your guys' predictions for how long this series could go? If Florida wins, in how many games? If Vegas wins, in how many games? What are we thinking?
So I'm gonna go back to what I was saying. So I'm gonna go Panthers in 5. Panthers in 5. Patrick Hornquist 3-time Stanley Cup champion. Don't care.
Is he hurt right
Pens
now
legend.
though?
He is.
Still be a Stanley Cup
I
champion.
think he's benched.
I think.
I could be wrong.
Hurt. Well, you know who's on Vegas? Phil
Kessel.
Daddy Phil, but
Hot dog man.
Dude, I love Hot Dog Man.
Playoffs, I don't think. Besides,
he played for a little bit.
A few games against Winnipeg, but I think after that he was done.
I love Hot Dog Man. I love. He's like one of my favorite players of all time. That man needs to go to the Hall of Fame.
He might actually make
Hall of Fame player.
He had some good playoff runs there with Pittsburgh, and he has, I believe, around 1,000 points. So I think he really could make it. It's possible.
And doesn't he have like 900 consecutive games or something like that?
I think it's 1,000.
Is it now?
He passed 1,000.
Yep.
I think we talked about it a long ass time ago, but I think it is a record. Carter, what do you have for the prediction?
So, hold on. Excuse me. So anyways, I have Florida in 6. That's my thing. I think Florida will drop game 1 though. So I think they'll drop game 1, they'll win the next 3, they'll lose game 5, and then they'll win it in double OT in game 6. I will say that now, and if this comes back and is 100% true, I'm gonna retire.
Don't retire.
Don't retire. Keep going.
I gotta go out on top.
That's fair. That's fair. See, I think they're gonna win game 1 and 2. They're gonna drop 1 at home. I'm gonna say maybe game 3, game 4, and game 5 they win.
It's the thing is like it's hard to win 2 games in Vegas.
But I mean,
I know from experience.
The stats don't lie though.
But look at this though. Florida won games 1 and 2 in both round 2 and round 3. So
that's true.
Top seeded teams. So you got to take that in consideration as well. And when you look at Vegas, they were the top seeded team in the West, and they've played teams that are, of course, worse than them the entire way through. So, just saying.
See, I'm just upset Seattle's not. That would have been an amazing series. The Western Conference Finals, Seattle versus Vegas would have been awesome.
Oh man, I don't know. I feel like I would have rooted for Seattle more than I would have Vegas right now. Yeah, he's got a cracking jersey there. Is that Brandon Tanev?
Yes, it is. The man, the myth, the legend. I love my man Turbo.
Jets legend.
Yeah, like
Penguins legend. What are you talking about?
Yeah, we claimed him first. He was good with us first.
He was better with us, so.
No, he was not. Mm-mm.
Yes, he was.
How many hat tricks? How many hat tricks did he have with the Penguins?
That's a good question.
He had one with the Jets.
That's a good question. How many cups did he have with the Jets?
How many cups did he have with the Penguins?
None.
He wasn't there for those cup wins?
No. It was the same year we signed that fucking wanker, not Jeff Carter. What's the other one we signed?
Whoa.
Jack.
What's with the Carter slander?
No, I love Jeff Carter, but he's overpaid. What's the other guy's name? Jack Johnson.
Jack Johnson.
Yeah.
But hold on.
Tangent.
Since then, he's a Stanley Cup champion.
He is a cup champion.
He is a cup champion. But he played one game in the final.
Yeah.
Still played a game.
With like no points.
Guy is a glorified traffic cone.
One of the worst defensemen.
It's so bad. The fact that he was picked 3rd overall just blows my mind.
I saw this meme on TikTok, and it was like, how much work did you do on the group project? And then it's a picture of Jack Johnson holding up a Stanley Cup. Yeah.
I thought Jack Johnson was first.
No, that was the year Crosby. He wasn't picked over Crosby.
He was
not Crosby, Perry, then Jeff Carter, or not Jeff Carter. I don't know why I'm saying Jeff Carter.
I could have sworn it was.
It was 05. It was Sid, and because him and Sid were like really good friends when they were kids. They played baseball together.
Yeah, too
On
bad.
was Shattuck St. Mary's, I think.
Should have stick to baseball.
Okay, yeah, no, never mind. I'm completely wrong.
All right.
But
I don't even think
fun,
I gave my prediction. I have Florida in 6, but if Vegas wins, I have them in 6 too. I just think like with Florida's story, like I just can't see them not winning it. Like it just feels like with their story, I just can't see it. But with Vegas too, it wouldn't surprise me either because we can't have nice things on this planet. So, you know, is that it for finals? One more question. Of these teams, who do you have winning the Conn Smythe? If Florida wins, who do you have? If Vegas wins, who do you have? This is actually a discussion, I think.
How many do we get? Like, how many picks do we get? Do we 1 or 2? Like,
one
our
of
top
each.
2? One of each? Okay. Carter,
You
go
can
ahead.
look an honorable mention if you want.
I'll go. Okay. I feel quite honest. I feel it's so hard for Florida because I think no matter who you pick for Florida, like there's 2 guys I think we all have in mind. Either one of those I can see winning it. I'm gonna take Matthew Tkachuk, for Florida, and then I think if it's Vegas, I'm gonna go with Jack Eichel.
Yeah, Jack Eichel's my pick for Vegas without a doubt.
Yeah.
Seth?
See, I'm gonna go Bob for the Panthers. He's been the one that if it weren't for him, if there were any other goalie in there, they wouldn't be there right now. I think Bob is on the defensive side the main reason why they are where they are. If he wasn't as good of a goaltender as he is, I don't see them making the final. So I'm going to go Bob, honorable mention Chucky. And then if Vegas wins, I'm going to stick with the goaltender here. I'm going to go Aiden Hill. Aiden Hill has played phenomenal. And he had, you know, I'm not saying he's the only reason why they're there, but he has definitely held Vegas in at times. And I mean, I really can't think, other than Jack Eichel, I really can't think of anyone else who is really contributed to their team the way that Aiden Hill has.
Yeah,
that's a hot take though.
Hill is a hot take, and if he wins the Conn Smythe, I'm buying an Aiden Hill jersey and I'm getting a picture of him holding the Conn Smythe and putting it in a massive frame in my room because I loved that guy when he was with Arizona, and I was heartbroken when he got traded. I was
you'll get it in a Coyotes jersey, but not a Vegas jersey for sure.
Even though we are a poverty franchise, it still like broke my heart.
You'll do like something that every like the Kachuk mom does, where she like cuts the jersey in half and does like one side for Brady, one side for Matthew. You'll do that, but Aiden Hill, one side Arizona, one side Vegas.
I wonder what Brady's thinking right now.
He's like, oh man, I'm on a poverty franchise. My team sucks.
God, this is why Matthew left Canada.
See, I think that
Brady wants out.
This is my opinion, but I think if you cut up a jersey, you should be shot in the back of the head. That is
anything to mess up a jersey, you should be shot in the back of the head.
Yes.
Honestly.
These people, that jackass who ruined the Rangers jersey, made it into like a jacket. Jail. You guys know what I'm talking about, though, right?
I think so. I had this question that we asked early on in the podcast. It was like I think it was like Vancouver that was like throwing jerseys onto the ice. What are your thoughts on that, Seth?
See, I think I don't condone throwing things on the ice. Other than if there's a hat trick, but when your team is as poverty as Vancouver and, you have no hope, your team finally turns around at the end of the season, but, got Jim Rutherford as your GM, you've got no future. I'm not for them throwing jerseys on the ice. Again, jerseys are expensive. Believe me, I know, unfortunately. But
quick
if you
pan
throw
of
jerseys on your ice, you deserve to not have any jerseys. You deserve to be shot in the shadow realm. You should shot into the sun. If you disrespect a jersey like that, you pay, whether it's Fanatics or whether it's Adidas, which all mine are Adidas. I don't like the fake shit. Pardon my French, but like
that's fine.
You spend a lot of money to just not only on the ticket, but on the jersey, and you throw it on the ice, and now it's gone. You're not.
I understand the anger, but it's just like, why waste the money if you're just going to chuck it on the ice? I understand why you're mad, and believe me, I'm mad too. But like, as soon as that jersey goes over the boards, not even before it hits the ice, you immediately regret it. I bet
Yeah.
good money you immediately regret it.
It sounds like you're speaking from experience, though.
No. We actually, as Flyers fans, we throw bracelets onto the ice.
Yes,
Yeah,
after your owner
bracelets
dies.
that were like made to memorialize like our like dead owner.
Yeah, that. See, I remember watching that game because my parents are Capitals fans.
So.
My parents and brother are Capitals fans, and they were watching that game, and we're like, "Holy shit!" We knew, and again, I'm not saying you're trashy, but we knew that Flyers fans as a whole were trashy. Like, I mean, come on. Like, I can understand beer cans and stuff like that, but not the bracelets, man.
It was
not
just
the bracelets. It's just distasteful.
Yeah, and then like both sides. Like I remember there was like a clip of like Wayne Simmons and Alex Ovechkin like telling the fans to stop, and then they gave him a penalty. It's just like Philadelphia. Anyways,
not always sunny in
Philadelphia. We go
Philadelphia.
so off topic. Do we have anything else in the Stanley Cup final?
Roll Panthers.
Roll Panthers. All right, so we're going to move into some off-season type stuff now. We're not going to talk about playoffs. There's been a lot of like coaching, general manager type news. Now, originally, I was actually going to start off with the coaches, but since Seth is here, I want to give him plenty of time in the world to talk about Pittsburgh. So, Kyle Dubas, as of today, coincidentally, was hired as the president of hockey operations. So, Seth, what are your thoughts on this? And has Kyle Dubas called you yet on the GM job?
See, I think, and we talked about this a little earlier in the DMs.
We did.
I think that Darsh is the choice for GM, though he was told earlier yesterday that he was out of the running for the Poho position. And I think it was a surprise to me that Dubas was made the president of hockey operations, not a general manager. But I think that and after watching his press conference, that he really has a good idea for what he wants from this team. He's not the clown that is Ron Hextall and Brian Burke, where they couldn't they wanted to split up the big three, and they didn't know, what their plan was. And after hearing Dubas speak, it really calmed me down because he's like, I believe in these guys. If anyone wants to count these guys out, go ahead. But I'm going to bet on these guys, And the fact that he is going to keep the big three together, he had a conversation with Sid, and he's like, hey, where do you see this team? What do you think this team needs? And this is all his interview process. He wasn't even hired at that point. He took it upon himself to talk to Sully multiple times, as he said, and Sid like twice about, what they see from this team and what their goals going forward were. And that is a sign of someone who is dialed in and is ready to make change on day one. And I hope whoever they have in the GM spot and the AGM spot are, can see eye to eye with not only Fenway. And look, my take on Fenway has gone a complete 180. I was not a fan of them because, for those of you who don't know, I hate LeBron, right? And LeBron's part of Fenway. And I was like, I hate this organization because they, didn't fire Hextall soon enough. They finally did it. I'm like, okay. Now they hire Dubas, and I've seen what they had to say on the whole Hextall situation and the whole now, Poho situation, and they really want to win. And they really are going to get ready to build a squad that's going to want to win. But, I'm just happy that we got Dubas, man. I'm just happy. Yeah. I knew it was the minute that he stepped away from Toronto, I'm like, okay, we got him. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Feeling it was going to happen, honestly. Yeah, I mean, like you said, like he's more reliant on like the core three. Like it kind of relates to like what happened in Toronto because he was trusting towards that core three, and it's showing again in Pittsburgh. But I like listening to some of the stuff he said in his press conference today. Kind of made me a little bit excited, like what's going to happen with Pittsburgh, because I heard I've seen some quotes saying like Mike Sullivan's our coach of the future, and we're going to keep him here. There's no expiration date. He was going to talk to Tristan Jarry, get to know him a little bit better, and then kind of figure out what we're going to do moving forward with him, because I believe his contract expiring. So, yeah, there's a lot of ways you could go. But Seth, I'll ask you another question. If you're, I feel like I've asked you this, but if you were the GM, if Kyle Dubas called you up right now and said, "Can you be the GM of the Pittsburgh Penguins?" What would you do?
How much you paying first? But then after that, I'd say we got to get rid of the dead contract we have. I know we have like 8 no movement clauses, which is kind of sucks. But we have 1 year left of Jeff Carter on that ridiculous contract. Again, I love the man, but he's just not worth $3 million a year. Get rid of Granlund. Give Rust half the season. If he does not improve, because we're paying him $6 million. If he doesn't get better.
Yeah, he had a down season.
Yeah, if he doesn't get better this season, or I don't see the effort from him in the offseason, he's gone. I love Rust, but something needs to be done. I would re-sign Zucker. I would try to see if he would take a hometown discount. If I'm able, I would try to sign him for under 4, but that's going to be difficult. I love Tristan Jarry, but I think it's time we move on because he's been injured left and right. He is, although he's a very good goaltender, he's an all-star goaltender. I think if we were to move on from him, maybe do a sign-in trade or at least trade him. I think trade him at the draft. I think would be the perfect time to do it. I think he's a guy that can be better suited elsewhere because he's struggling, and I think he might need a change of scenery. Get rid of. I like Casey DeSmith. People hate me for this, but I like Casey DeSmith.
I like DeSmith too.
He's a good backup goaltender. He's never going to be a starter. He's a good backup goaltender, and at times he is the GOAT. At times he is Casey the GOAT. At times, I think we try to reacquire Teddy Bluger because, as I mentioned last episode that I was on, he's one of the most elite penalty killers in the league.
He's also in the finals. Forgot to mention.
Yeah, he's also in the finals. I think we try to bring back another goaltender. I'm hearing name Gibson thrown around a bit. Again, that'll be a difficult trade, but get rid of what's the other defenseman we got that never played? Kulikov? Did we acquire Kulikov?
Or at the deadline?
At the deadline, yeah. Was it Kulikov? Yeah, Kulikov. I don't remember.
Yeah,
and then get rid of Bonino. Bonino was injured again, and we got like 3 games of usage out of him. Get rid of him.
Yeah, that was confusing.
Overhaul the defense. Obviously, keep Tanger, keep POJ. I like those guys. I really was low on POJ at first. I would definitely give some of our prospects a chance. Bring up Nylander. He's a guy that we underutilized him. Bring up Ty Smith. Let Dumo walk. Dumo is, he's horrible. Get rid of Pet. I would do a complete overhaul. Get rid of Marcus Pettersson.
I agree with you.
But this team needs a change and needs a big change. I think going into next season, you need to have at least, the bottom 6 just, wiped out completely. Maybe try to keep Heinen. I like Heinen. He's fast, but he just needs to produce more. But yeah, those are my moves if I can pull them off.
Yeah, I think you have some pretty valid takes there. I do agree. I think they need to get younger as well.
100%.
Younger guys, draft better, bring POJ and back into the lineup here. Oliver Joseph, by the way, for those who don't know, bring some younger players into this lineup. Give them a shot. Hey, see what they do in training camp. See how they do in the preseason. Not saying you give them a big bottom 6 role or something like that, but give them a shot. See how they do. That's what you want to do. You want to get younger.
Yeah, and I think, and even in Dubas's press conference, he said we're going to look to get younger. We're going to look to not only compete now, but be able to compete in the future, and so that when Crosby and the big 3 retire, that it's not a long, drawn-out process when they retire. And it sounds like he's going to be around for a while, which is nice. But Owen Pickering, our first overall pick first round pick rather from last year, he's looking pretty good in the minors. And I think maybe give him a half a year in minors and see how he's doing. But I think he's a guy that I'm looking for, and I'm going to keep my eyes out on in training camp and in the preseason.
Yeah, absolutely. Carter, how you doing? It's been a little bit.
Yeah, hello.
You have any thoughts?
Quite honestly, I feel like Seth covered it all.
Yeah.
I honestly don't have anything. I do like the move of Kyle Dubas there. I'm still in shock that the Leafs got rid of him, but it was either him or pretty much just him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm kind of upset at Toronto for getting rid of him. He didn't do anything wrong, but yeah, I don't know. I don't have a whole lot to say, but I do like this move for Pittsburgh though.
Yeah, common Leafs L.
Of
Well,
course.
we're about to transition over to the Leafs. Last thing, do you have anything? Do you have anything on Penguins, Seth?
No, I'm good. I'm good. I think I, you know.
Yeah, you did
Oh,
a
well,
good
I did want to bring one thing up. I know this is kind of off topic, but I mentioned this to you guys before we went live, but there were reports that Ron Hextall's house was egged,
Oh yeah.
and Ron thought that it was Penguins players, which I think is just hilarious. Personally, again, I'm not going to say what I said before the show because I don't want people to come after me. But I would use another more destructive route if I were those people. But I'll leave it at that. But I think that's just hilarious. Screw Ron Hextall. He can go, be shot into the sun with Gritty and with Bowie. And
Hey, you can't take Gritty.
He just took a
Gritty stays.
He was trying to take a shot at me. You really want to go there, buddy?
It wasn't a shot at you. It was a shot at I hate Gritty. Like Gritty is disgusting and awful.
What's wrong with Gritty?
He's just he's dumb. I want to punch. He's Elmo on crack, and it's stupid.
So's every mascot.
Yeah, but nowhere near as bad. But Bowie as well. I think we can all agree Bowie is a horrible mascot.
100%.
From a team with. And again, I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent here, but
that's fine. This is your pod, man.
A guy that I guess he represents Seattle because he's not going to go there, but I can imagine where I'm going with that. But I don't like Bowie. They have the best branding in the entire league, the best jerseys in the entire league. The coolest stadium, but they've got the crappiest mascot.
Butchered the mascot. Butchered.
I made a meme that I'll send you guys a little later that you guys might like, with including Bowie. So
oh boy,
I hate him.
All right, we're gonna transition. Coincidentally, like all three of the GM things we're gonna talk about, they all connect together. So we're gonna move over to Toronto, and Brad Treliving has been named the GM of the Toronto Maple Leafs. This is weird to me, and I'm gonna be honest. When I think of this, and like. When they brought in the new GM, wouldn't you think like they want to make some big changes? Like moving away Kyle Dubas, like you want to make some big changes, probably to the core four. But Treliving comes in, doesn't want to make any changes to the core four. So what's the point of moving away Dubas besides the fact that Shanahan just didn't want to bring him back? Like, what's the point? Honestly. You guys got any thoughts on that?
Carter, you go, because I did a little bit of a tangent there.
Yeah. All right. I guess I'll go. I don't understand this move. Like, I prefer Dubas so much more than Treliving because look at what Dubas has done in the years that he's been there. Like, he's brought in so many pieces. What's Treliving done? Well, he lost Johnny Gaudreau. He traded Matthew Tkachuk, which looked like a great trade for him at the time. Didn't end up so hot. One guy's in the Cup final, one guy's not. I don't really know. They both only won one playoff series, I think, in the last 5 years or whatever. We're not counting play-in stuff because if so, it would have been 2. But we'll back off that. But yeah, both GMs not had great playoff success. But if I was the Toronto Maple Leafs, I would have preferred Kyle Dubas. But obviously, there was a rift between Dubas and Shanahan. So, I mean, that's kind of why. But I don't know if Treliving was that guy.
Yeah, look, I'm being honest. It could have been better, But it also could have been worse too. Like it's kind of like one of those deals. It's like it's mid to me. And we've talked on here before. Like we all liked Kyle Dubas. I thought he didn't do anything really wrong with Toronto per se. But when you look at like what Dubas did and you compare it to what Tree Living did, you have Austin Matthews expiring next offseason. And he has a no movement clause coming in July 1st. You got to think to yourself, like, you see Johnny Gaudreau, they thought they were going to keep him, but he's gone. He left. Could that happen to Toronto with a guy like Tree Living in the wheel? Like, and then as well as that too, during like trade deadlines previous years with Kyle Dubas, Dubas has made plenty of trades to help this team better off in the playoffs. Maybe it didn't work out all the way, but hey, he tried. Tree Living, this year's trade deadline, nothing. Troy Stetcher. That's it.
Didn't they get rid of Richie as well?
Yeah, they moved a Richie and got a new Richie. Like,
yeah.
Truly don't understand it. So
see, I think that Austin Matthews is done in Toronto. I think he's obviously got one more year. They're going to try to re-sign him. They can re-sign him July 1st, right? Although he's
so yes.
So I think if they don't get anything done within the first 2 months or 3 months after July 1st, if he's not signed July 1st, he's going somewhere. Again, you might like this one, Nord, but I could, if he leaves, I could see him going to Arizona because, they've got a bright future over there and they've got a lot of young guys that are going to be really exciting to watch, although we don't know where the fuck they're going to end up. But, I think that Austin leaves. I'm shocked that they're not going to make moves to the core four because you look at that core four and, they're heavily partially overpaid. And they're taking up like what, 45 million in cap just for the four of them.
Yeah. So
like that's something you got to move away from.
The thing is with that is like it's hard to because not a lot of people want to take those contracts. Like there's a couple of guys whose contracts like I'd be fine with taking. Like Mitch Marner's one of them. I would gladly take Mitch Marner's contract.
I think every team in the league would be making calls on Marner.
Yeah,
like, I think literally every team.
We said this last episode how like the player that probably should go is John Tavares, but you're not able to. The player that will most likely go is Mitch Marner because he just had his best season. He proved that he's probably one of the best wingers in the National Hockey League. He proved it this year, and I don't know. I think if the Leafs have to move from one of those four guys, which they won't, but if they had to, and they probably should, Mitch Marner would bring in a nice return for them.
Absolutely. So,
for sure. I think they could get at least. I think they could get at least like 3 or 4 pieces from that. Not only draft picks, but you're looking at a blockbuster deal, which I don't think anything else would be going. Maybe like a pick or two would be going to that other team. But I think, oh shoot, my mic's falling down. I've been playing with this entire time, and but anyway, I think that like you said, they would get a really nice return. Like I'd say, a couple A level prospects and like a B tier player plus picks.
Yeah, like a second, like a mid second, high third line player for sure. And some picks, and then a bunch of good prospects too. So,
yeah, he's very valuable. So and then Nylander too is one that could also get traded potentially. He's probably the easiest one to move because of his contract, but he also is expiring soon. So you got to take that in consideration. As well as that too, like their entire bottom six is expiring this year. So he's gonna have a lot of work to do. Tree Living, and it makes me wonder like. With Gaudreau just randomly leaving, is that going to happen again? Honestly. So, I really don't know what to think of Calgary. That's the next team. What to think of Toronto right now. But yeah, I'm just going to chalk it off to be could have been better, but it also could have been worse.
Yeah. I mean, you could also have Ron Hextall as your general manager.
You could have Mark
Burson. It's not the worst they could have done.
Yeah.
I just pray on the downfall of the Leafs,
Still praying on that downfall.
Don't we all?
I like to see him succeed at least once. They did in the first round, and then they just got dicked on.
No.
See, I love when they when you tease them just a little bit, right? It's like that State Farm commercial. It's like, oh, you got to be quicker than that with the dollar bill and the fisherman.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I love seeing that. I love seeing kind of just like teasing them a little bit, and then boom, no, you suck.
Social media is also really
guys,
fun.
look, we just made it past the first round. Guess what? We're playing the 8 seed. We're gonna win this. So we're gonna dominate. And and then they lose in 5.
The funny thing is too is we talked about this when they lost, but it seemed like all their players like Matthews, Marner, they all stayed in the first round. They didn't score at all. I don't think they had points either besides Nylander. That's the funny thing.
It interfered with their tea time, man. They already had this, planned in the beginning of the year. They're like, oh yeah, we'll be out by April or by May. We'll plan our tea times here.
Yeah,
who are we playing? Tampa? Oh yeah, no, we're definitely good. Yeah, book us down for. What do you guys think? They probably had the Florida trip for the golf courses pre-booked. They're like, oh, boys, we can go on our Florida trip for free now.
Oh man!
So you just stay down there,
Yeah, nice and crazy. Yeah. Anyways, we'll move on now to the Calgary Flames, and they did what I think is honestly the smartest of the 3 moves. You guys are crying right now.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Oh, I love this. If this is gonna be a clip, if you make clips for the show, this is gonna be the clip. That's just laughing about the Leafs losing.
Just laughing about how they had their tea times pre-booked for Florida.
Anyways, the Calgary Flames, I think they made one of the smarter moves. They decided to promote from within, and they hired Craig Conroy as their brand new GM of the team. And Conroy was Jesus, Seth, are you okay?
Seth's dying, man. He's dying.
Oh, Lord have mercy. We're good. We're good.
Anyways, Conroy was the assistant GM for Calgary for 9 years, so he's seen this team through a lot of struggles. Oh my God!
I got Seth on that one. I wasn't even intending to, but I. Welcome to episode 28 of NordCast, known as the Giggles episode.
This shouldn't be as funny as it is, but it is hilarious.
It really shouldn't.
All right, sorry, go ahead.
Nord, here. Well, here. You know what, Nord? Here, you don't have to see. Here, there you go.
He turned off his camera. Carter,
I don't turn my camera off too. Carter, come back.
Anyway.
There we go.
Is it safe to come out?
Yes.
All right, Conroy was the GM of was the assistant GM of the Calgary Flames for 9 seasons, so he's seen this team go through a lot. And I think overall it's a really good move for Calgary. Do you guys have any thoughts on this? Like what the overall direction for Calgary could be? Any thoughts on this? I know it's probably the least eventful of the 3, but
quite honestly, Calgary is there's a bunch of teams that we don't have a read on where they're just in no man's land. Where they don't necessarily have the pieces to compete, but they're not completely tear down rebuild. They're in that, are we going to contend or are we not? They're in that no man's land area. There's a couple teams that are in there, and they are definitely one of them. So I don't know. It's just all going to depend on how they play throughout the season.
The way I look at it is that they're in that same limbo that the Minnesota Wild were and are in. They've always been that team for the last 10 years where they've been a team that's oh, they're a really good team, or they're oh, they're going to miss the playoffs by a couple points. They're right in that limbo there where they need an extra piece, and that Kirill Kaprizov might have been that piece for them, but they need that extra piece to be able to launch forward and contend. Because if I'm not mistaken, didn't Hubie have 55 points this season or after coming from 100
he
points
was
season?
the biggest fall off in points in the history of the league. Fall off.
He, you might need to move on from him. Uyghur's always going to be a good player. Uyghur has been, I would argue, one of the best players for that team. And I think they need another piece, and I think they'd be good, but I don't know. I
They
think that
need a forward. They need a forward.
for
Well,
sure they
Elias
need.
Lindholm might be on his way out because he's expiring after this or after next year. So there have been rumors about that Lindholm's not happy with the hiring, but I don't know, to be honest with you. I think there's a lot of questions. We'll see how they do this coming season. They did face a lot of injuries too, and Daryl Sutter's a shit coach, so good thing he's gone. But there's a lot of things that could happen in Calgary right now.
Yeah, just get Nick Ritchie out of the shootout lineup. They'll be fine.
Yeah, that was something. I wish you were here for that. I wish both of you were here for that. That was.
I was there for that.
You were not on the podcast after that. It was only me and Jack. Oh.
No, I was there when you were chirping Nick Ritchie.
Oh, I guess so. It is.
Do you just forget about me?
So were you guys just watching a game while you were recording? Is that what I'm hearing?
Man.
No, it was like a couple days after. Or something like that, but
No, I'm dumb. You were there for that. It was the one before that, like when they lost to Chicago. That was the one you weren't.
Yeah, no, that was the one. That was the one when I was in Hawaii.
Yeah. This guy goes on vacation all the time, Seth. Anyway,
you.
I'm
going
It was a
Italy
fun
this year,
month,
so.
okay?
We'll transition here from general manager type stuff over to coaching for a lot of teams here. So we'll start off with Calgary. The Flames, there really isn't a lot of info right now who their coach is really going to be. So we're not going to touch base on it too much. They wanted to look at what their GM was going to be first, so they haven't really started the coaching process. So we're kind of just going to leave it at that. There's not much there. We'll bring it up in a later episode, but as of now, there isn't much surrounding that. Nashville, however, did make some news. They fired their coach, John Hines, and brought in Andrew Brunette. And I like this a lot for Nashville. And when you think about it, too, I feel like John Hines will get some consideration from teams. The Rangers were already a team that kind of inquired on John Hines because when you look at it, Hines came really close to the playoffs with a team that had a lot of injured players, was playing with mainly like a bottom six roster on their top six. Like, they didn't have a lot of really solid players, and they still came pretty close to the playoffs. Coincidentally, they knocked off Calgary, which I thought was funny, but like they did a really good job at, staying close to the end. And it's a shame that they didn't bring Hines back, but I think Hines will get another coaching job for sure. But Brunette, I like even more. I think Andrew Brunette's a really solid hiring. He was on that Florida team after Quenneville left with the scandal and stuff around December of 2021. And then they started just flying all the way to the end and played really well. So, I'm really liking the hiring there for Nashville Brunette. You guys have any thoughts on that?
See, I think with the way that the Panthers season unfolded, I think it was a little unfair to fire their coach because
He was actually the intern.
He was? Okay.
Yeah, so
Soros. Yeah, Soros, he carried that team. He had that team on his back until the final game. And I don't think it was really fair to fire. I mean, I feel like he did a good job. He did well with what he had. But, I mean, he's going to go to a team that hopefully is going to be better for him. And, the Panthers have always been that team. Not the Panthers. The Predators have always been that team where, same thing, where they're in that limbo, where they're either really good or they're like mid. So.
Yeah, Carter, you got any thoughts? I know you have to leave in a little bit, so. We'll keep you around, but we'll probably go over the limit because we still got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, no. That's definitely fine. I accidentally clicked the mute button. I had to check and make sure I was good. But no, I do like this hiring of Brunette. So I don't have a whole lot to say about him because I don't fully know coaches as well as a lot of people do. All I know is I do like this hire for the Nashville Predators, and yeah,
that's valid. What's the other team that's next? I believe the Rangers are up next. I haven't heard much on the Rangers as of right now. It looks like they're going to hire Nolbach as their brand new coach. They're going to promote from within. I'm not entirely too sure. You shouldn't quote me on that, but that was the guy that I was seeing could be the consensus pick. Columbus as well. There's a lot of uncertainty there. There's Peter Laviolette, which if he goes there, man, he's coached almost every team in that division. Like, I think every team besides, like, the Rangers, the Penguins, and that's it. Like, he's coached pretty much every other team if he goes to Columbus. Or he could go to the Rangers, too. So, God bless him. But Washington also made a move here as well. They hired Spencer Carberry as their brand new head coach. And I like this move a lot. He's coming from Toronto. He has experience with the Washington area. I think it's a really good signing overall. And then lastly, you got the Anaheim Ducks, who, when we were last on here, there were talks of over 300 interviews with different coaches for Anaheim. So yeah, Seth, you have your eyes wide. Yeah.
God, I didn't see that. Oh my Lord.
Supposedly that's
Yeah, I got that was one of my trips. I got flown down to Anaheim for an interview.
Yeah, you got yeah. The running thing is, and Seth, you haven't been on all of our episodes, of course, but there's been times where Carter will get phone calls while we're talking about GMs or players.
Okay, it happened once. It happened once.
One time you got a phone call from who was it? Who was it you got a phone call from? Was it Kyle Dubas?
Wasn't it? Were we talking? I think we were talking Dubas. Was it Dubas? I can't. No, maybe it was Calgary.
Or was it Lamorello? I can't remember.
God, we'll go back and find it. But we were talking about a coach, and I got a phone call, and so I'm like, oh shoot, I gotta take care of this. So I mute up, and then I unmute, and they're like, so was that whoever it was calling you? I'm like, I think so. And then I'm like, well, we'll see if I get the job. And then they call me back. I'm like, oh, got the job.
Yeah, you haven't gotten a call from Dubas, right, about the GM job? Not yet?
Nope, not yet. Nope.
How much money would you take?
I would do free. Actually, no, I would do maybe 79 a year.
20 Timbits on my desk every morning, and I'll work.
See, I need some money to be able to support myself, but I think I would do it.
You
for
can
60K.
live off 20
Do it for
Timbits.
60K.
Yeah, you
that's what I make. That's what I make now. I can easily live off that.
I make $5 an hour. Just kidding.
I make
Canadians.
$16.50 at my job. Yeah. Anyway.
What?
Yeah, $16.50. It's crazy. I believe that's
an hour.
The coaches. What, Carter?
An hour?
Yeah.
$60 an hour.
16.
Oh my! I thought you said 60 to 50 an hour.
Would be insane.
I was like, what drug ring are you running?
My work would go out of business in a month because I work so much.
Yeah.
We'd go out of business if they paid me that much. But yeah, I believe that's all the coaches and all the rumors around that. But as of right now, in regards to all those coaches with, those teams with no coaches, there isn't a lot surrounding them. You can make some easy guesses, but as of now, there isn't a ton surrounding them. So we're going to kind of move on from that. I'm not sure what Carter's doing right now. He's moving it.
I don't know. I'm playing with ice. I'm actually a child. I get sidetracked by the simplest things.
Yeah, I believe
Well,
it.
that's why
it's bad, but it's also a lot of fun because then I don't take things serious.
Yeah.
See,
we got one
the
last
same.
piece of staff-related news here. The Seattle Kraken announced that GM Ron Francis will be signing a contract extension until 2027. So overall, I think it's a good deal. I liked what Francis did this past year with the Kraken, and it just goes to show they have a bright future ahead. If they play like this in the coming years, man, they could win a cup way earlier than we expected, 100%. But anyways, moving on to other related news here in regards to the NHL. Patrick Kane underwent surgery today for hip surgery, and is expected to be out about 4 to 6 months. Per his agent, the pending UFA wants to play hockey for a long time afterwards, but the doctors are reportedly optimistic. So we'll see if anything amounts to that there. Now it's June 1st as of now. So 6 months from now, what is that? That's December, right?
Yeah.
So
we totally knew that.
If you're a team right now, are you going to sign Kane for this injury if you're not going to get him until December?
No, I wouldn't. I mean, he's shown he's a good player, but I don't want to spend that money when I can't guarantee that he's going to be
he also
completely
might not
healthy.
Come back either. There is that small chance where he might not come back. So there is that possibility.
It's like a weird like do you like it's a roll of the dice. It's like do you risk it, do you not kind of situation.
Yeah. Next up, I do want to talk about this, even though it happened a while ago. Jamie Benn was suspended during that Western Conference Finals. 2 games for that cross check on Mark Stone. I believe both of you have seen it, right? It's completely unnecessary.
Oh yeah,
Was just a BS type play. Just was really dumb. And I understand the anger at that point, but the weird thing is too, they were like 0-2 without Ben, and then they were like 2-0 with, or they were 2-0 without Ben, and then they lost every other game in the series with Ben in the lineup. So
now I will say this. Do you see what he said after the fact? Like, well, no, he said in an interview, like I think the next game when he came back, he was like, "Oh yeah, no, I was just trying to get up. It was just unfortunate that my stick landed where his neck was." Did you see that quote from him?
I did. I don't believe I saw that. But at first, he didn't say anything. He had no reaction until he got asked in a press conference the day later. He didn't say anything the night of. It's just ridiculous and very unprofessional from your captain.
So. I think they, again, I think they should take the captaincy away from him. Like that was, like I was coming back from playing. I forgot what I was doing. I was with my brother in the car, and my brother showed me, and I'm like he's going to get at least 2 games for that. I joked that he's going to be out for the rest of the series, but we saw how that ended up. But completely out of line.
Yeah, absolutely. And then one last thing here. Actually, 2 more things. Congratulations to Canada, I believe, Carter, on winning the World Championship. They were the gold medal. I believe Germany was silver, right?
Yeah. Go Latvia! Latvia over USA! Yeah! Suck on that one, losers! 4th place, enjoy your participation!
Okay, all right, look. Me and Seth are from the USA. I will say that. But
I bleed red, white, and blue, baby.
I do have some nationality in Latvia, so it was pretty cool to see them win this. And that overtime goal, man, that was awesome. I wish I could watch that live. That was amazing. Oh, man.
And the fact that they're like most of their country like made that a national holiday and then went out to greet the team is it's something else. Latvia needs to get a hockey team.
Yeah, it's their first medal as well. And it goes to show that like, when you look at Latvia, like, and someone brought this up, I can't remember if it was one of you or I listened to a podcast or something, but somebody said that like Latvia has the greatest hockey atmosphere because they're just happy to be there, happy to be in anything. Because if they win, they're over the moon. If they lose, they're still happy. Like, I don't know if it's just them being new to hockey, but like they seem like a really good atmosphere to be in. And yeah, I have been rooting for Latvia for the past couple of years, and I'm very happy they won something.
It's more like just showing like that, like it's more than a sport to people. It's more than a sport.
Yeah, it's also good for the game as well. So I think it's really good there. The Philadelphia Flyers changed their logo from like a. Did you guys see this? Like
massive change.
It was really huge. Seth, what are
like
your thoughts on this? And is it now better than the Penguins logo? Like what do you think?
It's like that Pam meme from The Office.
Yeah,
they're the same exact picture.
Yes,
just a shade darker. Like, see, I thought they were going to go the whole '90s rebrand, which would have been super cool.
Yeah, I would have liked that, to be honest.
But per reports, they're only going to like make their jerseys slightly darker and like maybe touch up 1 or 2 things. But I mean,
they should just go back to like the all black. I like the black jersey.
Yeah, like the alternate they had, I like that a lot.
Yeah,
like make that the home jersey. Make their stadium series the alternate jersey.
Yes, and
then find something to use their reverse retro for 20 or whatever the reverse retro was last year. Make that their away. I like that one.
Yeah, that's like
hot take.
Like I have their stadium series. Their stadium series,
guys. Let's just be the jersey department for the Philadelphia Flyers.
That's a great idea. We do a way better job than whoever the hell came up with this.
What a rebrand.
What say you though? I mean, you're the Flyers fan here.
Me? Carter's a Flyers fan as well, but not as big as me.
Is he?
50.1% Flyers, 49.8% Jets, 0.1% Ducks.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, okay, that's my reaction. But
See,
yeah, I'm honestly leaning towards what you said. I would like that. Like, have their alternate as their home, their stadium series as their alternate, and then like the reverse retro as their away. I would like that a lot instead of the boring.
Well, both like those their alternate one was their stadium series one from the first time we played the Penguins.
Yeah.
And then honestly, that's perfect.
I mean, I think
against,
both.
like their current jerseys. I don't hate them, but I think you could do way better.
You can
The
do a
one
better
thing
job.
that pisses me off, and I'm a jersey snob. One of the things that pisses me off about the Flyers jersey is that the A is like on the dimples. It just makes no sense to me. I don't know if you've noticed that, but the A is on the dimples, and it just the A is white on the away jersey. What are you doing?
Yeah. Hang on a second, Seth. I have another question for you. Did you see the Panthers jersey for the finals where the cup patch was on the other end?
Oh God, that was so annoying.
I know you have to leave in a second, Carter, but I want to ask Seth about that.
See, look.
No,
all right, I'm going to try to stay as calm as possible. I think having ads on a jersey is fucking graffiti. It is ruining the jersey. The jerseys are supposed to be artwork. They're supposed to be a template for something that looks good. When you have a fucking ad right over here, it's just.
Dude, here's the thing. You're in the Stanley Cup final. Get rid of the ad. You don't need that anymore.
Yes.
In a situation where it's as important as the Stanley Cup final, take the ad away. You don't need it. You can get revenue anywhere else. Take it off for the Cup final, please.
Now, here's the ultimatum, though. Would you rather have the jersey patch, or would you rather have the ads around the boards? Like on the TV, the broadcast where they have those
ones. They had issues with that at the start of the season. Now it's like, get rid of these.
So bad.
I would take more ads on the ice.
Yeah.
Oh, like actually on the ice?
On the ice, like internationally.
I would prefer them to do I would prefer them to do ads on the ice, not on the jersey or on the because my ADD ass will start paying attention to the boards that are moving around with pretty colors, and instead of watching the game,
Yeah, like the logo on the helmet's okay. I don't mind that, but
that I don't mind.
Yeah, I don't mind that
because you don't see the helmet, like the jersey, and like the weird thing is too is like I originally thought like they're just gonna do that for the game worn jerseys. No, they're selling fucking jerseys like that. Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah, jerseys that have ads on them is actually a crime. I know Seth has said like every single thing about these jerseys is a crime. That's an actual crime. Like that's actually like not even NBA jerseys have that, and they have ads on their thing too. Not even those ones have it. Like it's just so stupid, man.
It just makes it look so bad.
Like they lost a lot of revenue for COVID, and I understand that's their way of making money, but don't take away from the jersey, man. Like that, you mess. Like I've already seen, like if the Penguins, for whatever reason, if they wore their diagonals in the play, they made the finals, the logo for the Cup Finals will be right here. It is what it is. You got something blocking this. But if you have a jersey that is just a clean, like any of these right here, right? Where there's nothing else on there, just get rid of the fucking ad and put the cup patch on there. That means more than a fucking ad.
Regular season, I can understand it. I'm fine with it. Regular season, it's the Cup Finals. Like it's literally the Stanley Cup Finals, and you're putting the patch. Look, it only affects 3 players. I understand that. It only affects the captain and the assistant captains, but it looks stupid. It looks so dumb.
I think whoever it makes me want to commit war crimes. Just saying.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, like you got at least have more of like a professional look to it. Like you don't want to throw ads on like a suit or anything like that. Like no,
it's horrible. It's what this world has come to, and I'm going to try to be as quick and concise as possible. What this world has come to, where we can put ads on jerseys, and I understand like it's the way they make money. But
there's better ways too, though. Like if they actually put in more effort, they could actually make a lot more money in the long run. But they focus on like what happens right now, like making the TV deals and all that BS. Like, oh man, yeah.
Yeah, if they marketed the game better, like the NFL does, like if they have more of the regular season, like overseas games,
Yes, more
that would kill.
overseas games, better stadium series, more stadium series. Like I understand they're doing 2 this year with Philadelphia, the Devils, and then Rangers, Islanders. But do more. Do more. Do multiple ones on multiple like conferences. Do have one on the East Coast, but then go over to the West Coast and have a series.
Yeah, like I would love
California series, even though it would be hot. Like,
I love though that they're doing Seattle versus
Vegas,
the Vegas Knights.
Well, who knows? Maybe they'll put that shit on fucking January 4th again.
That pissed me off.
That made me so mad. It's a Monday too. I had hockey practice. I couldn't even watch the game. I was.
I was at work. Are you talking about the most recent one or the
one that just happened? Penguins Bruins.
That was because it was the day after. Wasn't it the Super Bowl?
No.
Or am I completely off? There was something that moved. No, it was Sunday Night Football that made it move to the Monday. But like I was at work and I just literally plopped my ass down in front of the TV and just watched the game. I clocked, and if someone walked in, I'll help them out. But like this jersey right here is one of the best Winter Classic jerseys, and they like pushed it for some fucking football. Like, no, I mean, again, football I know is a bigger sport than hockey.
Go football!
I'm actually gonna buy that
sports
jersey
ball.
Soon.
It's a fantastic jersey.
Very soon.
Get a Ricard Raquel jersey because I love Ricard Raquel. Either him or Sid
or
or
Pittsburgh Pirates.
Hell yeah! No, I'm an O's fan. Let's go O's, baby.
Those
the jersey does look like the Pirates P though.
It does.
Yeah.
All right. And one more piece of news, and then we can probably actually let Carter go, and me and Seth will finish off this episode with some stuff. We're gonna end it off on a pretty interesting note. This was just announced, like literally like 30 minutes ago. Apparently there's a Vegas strip club that is offering Golden Knights players free lap dances for life if they win the Stanley Cup.
Phil the Thrill's gonna be in there all night if they win that cup.
Good
and
God.
Seth is dying. Hold on, let me read this.
See.
The success of the Vegas Golden Knights has played an integral role in boosting our community's morale, said Brittany Rose, general manager of the Hustler Club in Vegas. As the first professional sports team to debut in Las Vegas, we decided to show our support by extending free lap dances and VIP memberships for life.
Yeah!
Efforts to help motivate and lead the team to victory.
Could you imagine Mark Stone's captain's guys? Game 7, overtime. Do you want lap dances for life, or do you?
He's motivating a team like that. Come on,
do you want to lose to a team that has nothing to play for besides a Stanley Cup?
See,
I don't know about you. I'm taking the lap dances over the Stanley Cup.
Hilarious.
I'm not even gonna lie to you.
You could take the cup. Your day with the cup could be to that strip club.
No, I feel like if they win the cup, the first place they're going is the strip club.
Oh, 100%.
My man Phil is going to be in. I don't care that he has a wife and son, but my man's going to be in there with eating all the hot dogs and the wings and like. I would love to see. I'd like to see the pictures from the outside of him going in. Inside,
thing.
Like
a lot of these guys, you would think like have girlfriends and have wives, and some even have kids. Like that's kind of weird, to be honest. Like apart from like the
men are disgusting,
maybe, but like strange, to be honest with you.
Men are disgusting unless you have a hall pass. Men are just disgusting.
Unless you have a hall pass. Yeah, I'm gonna agree. We are pretty disgusting. Yeah, that's all I got for news. Carter, you have to head out, don't you?
I do have to head out. So this will be all you'll hear from me for the drop the mic. This will be all you hear from me for the rest of the night. So thank you guys for listening. I do appreciate it. Seth, thank you for coming on. I do appreciate it. Glad I actually finally got to sit down and do a podcast with you.
It's my pleasure, man.
Yeah, it's great. Nord, I will definitely talk to you soon.
I'll see you next
week.
I
got a buzz, and
good luck in your beer league in high school.
Yeah, thanks.
Bro plays beer league in high school.
Oh yeah, why would I not?
I mean,
Nord, by the
you
way,
have to be 18 to play beer league here.
Well, I'm like massive compared to like every other person, so they like don't question a thing. I was playing beer league when I was 16. Like, I, I
Jealous.
I got called up for my dad's team a bunch when I was 16.
God bless
I'm
you,
actually
man.
pretty sure I played. I'm actually pretty sure I played like a game for them when I was like 15 years old.
God bless you, man.
I'll
But
have
yeah,
to tell you
so
my beer league name. I'm not allowed to
oh,
say it over the air, but I'll tell you what my beer league team name is, and it's hilarious. And you'll
oh,
think it's the exact where it's named. The reason why it's named, you'll think exactly like, oh, that's why they're called that
that's
team name.
that's like one of my
Bad.
favorite things about beer league. It's just like the team names are just unreal.
Oh, we played a team the other week called the Glory Five Holes.
Yeah.
That's that sounds about
Men's
right.
league, you guys. I work at a roller rink, so we do all the men's like hockey leagues. Like like I score keep all the games, get paid $10 a game, so I make like $50 a night. Not that bad, and it's fun to watch hockey too. It's something I enjoy. There's some weird names. There's like one that's like shut your five hole. There's some really strange names, and then there's guys that will just like drink beers on the bench, which I didn't know was allowed there.
It's definitely not, but oh well. Okay,
See,
I gotta take off. I gotta take off. I'll
uh,
send you both a picture of the drip tonight.
hell
It's
yeah.
unreal. It's unreal. All
All
right,
right,
See, I
Carter,
look
we'll
like
see you.
I gotta
oh,
take off.
so.
I'll see you boys later. Have a good
See you,
night,
buddy.
everyone, and yeah.
All right, we'll see you around. All right, well, Seth, we're gonna continue on here. You don't have a bedtime, do you?
No, I'm 21, dude.
All right,
Turning
good
22
to
next
hear.
month,
Now
or 2 months from now. Yeah, next month.
I gotta go to school at like 7 tomorrow, but we're chilling.
We're
I
chilling.
do want to ask you some like other stuff because you wanted to bring up Chicago and the draft lottery, but we'll go over these topics first and then we'll get into that. So we're gonna continue our reviews of team seasons. Seth, you kind of come in at a weird time. We're like between the teams that missed and made the playoffs, so we just barely skipped over your Penguins. Your Penguins we talked about in the last episode, which was kind of unfortunate. I apologize for that, but
You're good, man. You're good.
all right, we're going to start off with Nashville. The Predators finished with a 42-32-8 record for 92 points. They, of course, missed the playoffs. Their leading scorer was Roman Josi with 67 games played, 18 goals, 41 assists, 59 points. As I mentioned, they basically, they had some points in this season where they weren't too good. They had a bad start to the year, and they were kind of just out of the playoff race altogether for the most part, or not like or out of the wild card spots for the most part. But like I honestly, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, so we don't have to go too much in depth with this, but Nashville, of course, a team that, they faced a lot of injuries. They had fired their coach, brought in a new coach. I think it's pretty much a good overall direction where they're going right now. But Seth, do they make the playoffs next year?
I think they need to make a move or two. I think they need to bolster up on the offensive side. They got the second round draft pick for Granlund, and Granlund was always their third line, third line guy.
Yeah.
But I think they need to work on their contracts. And if you had Roman Josi, who was, correct me if I'm wrong, he won the Norris last year, right?
I don't believe he did. No, Cale Makar won the Norris. He was a
You're
finalist.
right. He's a finalist. So you went from someone who was a finalist last year to having not a bad. I mean, 50
He
points
also
is
missed
not a bad
he
year.
missed a lot of time. And here,
Yeah.
I'll say this. When you look at their top 10 scorers, only one player played a full 82 game season, and that was Colton Sissons. All the other guys played below 80 games. So
Really?
keep that in mind.
Yeah, I mean, I think they need to get someone, get another, scorer that can play on that top line. I think that they're a team that has some future. They got a lot of young guys on there. They've got Saros, who's just unreal. Like he's arguably the best player on that team last year,
Yeah.
and he was carrying that team on his back. Like if it weren't for him, if you had, just for sake of argument, if you had Casey Smith in there, they would have been farther from the playoffs than they ended up. And I think that goes a lot to coaching. They had very good coaching and they had good goaltending. So I think they need to bolster up on the offense.
I don't think they're that far off though. Even if they're even remotely a little bit more healthy, I still think they would make the playoffs. But I do agree with you. They need to make some offensive moves, but I do like Barry Trotz becoming the GM. I think that's a really good move.
Yeah, I think he's a guy that no one hates. I
Yeah,
think he's a guy that, I was kind of hoping, we would maybe look at, but again, I like Sullivan, but Barry Trotz is just, he's one of those guys that he knows the game. He's been around the game forever, and he
yeah,
knows the game in and out. And I'm excited to see what he does in his first general managing job. And I think that he's going to do well. I think his time as a coach, he got to know a lot of the players, and I think he might go after some of his guys, but I think that they've got a bright future with Barry Trotz at the helm.
yeah. I 100% agree. We'll move on to Calgary. We obviously also talked about this team, so there's really, not that much point of going in depth because we kind of already talked about them. But 38, 27, and 17 record, and also this is the final team that we talked about that missed the playoffs. We'll start getting into the first round exits. For 93 points. Their leading scorer was Tyler Toffoli with 82 games played, 34 goals, 39 assists for 73 points. Of course, we talked about how, Tree Living and Sutter were both fired, and Conroy was brought in as the brand new general manager. So, Seth, I'll ask you the same question as I did for Nashville. Do they make the playoffs next year?
See, I think that it's a very interesting time in Calgary. They have a lot of their guys have, last year left in the off season. Chucky is gone, Gaudreau is gone, and you've got Nazem Kadri, who plays for that team, and he's a good player, but
Yeah.
he's probably not worth what they sent him for, like 9 million, I think.
7 by
Or
7, actually, I think.
okay, so it's less than I was expecting, but still, like, he's a little overpaid. He had one or two good seasons, and then, I mean, not saying he had a bad season last year, but for someone who's making $7 million a year, you should be the leading scorer of your team.
Yeah.
Toffoli, I guess, they've definitely gotten a good player in that trade for him, and I think they just need to work on finding that star player. Every team needs a star player, and I think they've got a lot of elite players, but they don't have any star players.
Yeah.
And I think something needs to change on the goaltending end, because it's not going to work with Markstrom. I mean, he's a good goaltender, don't get me wrong, but I'm not going to blame him for the reason why they didn't make the playoffs, but he needed to be better. He needed to do better, and he
Yeah.
didn't.
The goaltending was the biggest thing. I honestly think, like, if guys like, Kadri had a better season next year and Huberdeau has a better season next year, I think this team will be much better off. But I agree. I think they need to make one more move. It's just the fact that they don't have a lot of cap space to do so.
Yeah.
But they also have young goalie Dustin Wolf, who did play a game at the very end of the season that looked very promising and was like a really good goalie down in the minors for the Wranglers. So they could bring him up and be the starter potentially, but they might want to give him some more time.
Isn't Vlad down there? Isn't he a goaltender for them
Daniel
too? I forgot
Vladar,
his.
yes, he is.
Yeah. So I mean, he's a good prospect. I think he'll do some good things, but
yeah,
I don't think they're ready to. They still need a sure starting goaltender, and I think someone to mentor these young goaltenders coming up. And it'll be interesting to see what they do this offseason.
yeah. I don't know. They're likely going to make like a move when it comes to goalies. They're likely going to move probably Vladar. Vladar is the one that I see probably getting moved. He's the easiest to move besides Markstrom. So he's likely the one that gets traded out of Calgary, if I'm being fully honest with you right now. Next up, I believe we have Winnipeg. Let me scroll to my Winnipeg notes here real quick. Bunch of prospect previews.
So you bring it out right as Carter leaves.
Yeah, I was hoping to be able to stay, but I knew, like, with you coming on, and God bless you, you love to talk. I love having conversations. But it stinks. But Carter should just quit hockey and full-time podcast.
Yeah,
like he's slacking too much. Like, honestly. Winnipeg, they went 46, 33, and 3 for 95 points. This is the first playoff team. Their leading scorer was Kyle Connor with 82 games played, 31 goals, 49 assists, 80 points. And, of course, they lost in the first round to the Vegas Golden Knights in 5 games. Their leading scorer in the playoffs was Pionk with 7 points. So there's actually a lot of talk around Winnipeg right now if they're going to make some big trades, big moves. Have you heard anything about that? And if so, like, what are your thoughts? And, like, who could get moved out of Winnipeg?
See, I think See, I think that they've got a really good team. They
Yeah,
do, and I thought they could have, if maybe one or two bounces went their way, I think it would have been a completely different series. If I'm Winnipeg, I'm maybe making a move for like moving some bottom six guys because if you got guys, Kyle Connor is just he's unreal.
yeah,
And that line A trade is looking better every day. Not saying line A is a bad player. I'm just saying that the players that they got out of that trade, they kind of fleeced at this point. And I think as an organization, you got to get maybe one more player. I think it's the same thing as we mentioned about these last two teams. One or two players will make a big difference, and you need someone that
yeah,
one is cheap on the cap, but two is going to contribute to your team night in and night out. And I think
yeah.
goaltending's not an issue for Winnipeg. I think they've got fantastic goaltenders. I think their D maybe might need to the bolster up a bit, but I think for the most part they're pretty solid.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think Winnipeg. There's a lot of talk around a lot of players moving, and I think that's very well what could happen. But of course, we shall see. Next up, then we have the New York Islanders. They lost in 6 games to the Carolina Hurricanes. They came in as that first wild card spot. So there's a lot of questions around the Islanders right now with their new coach Lane Lambert. Seth, what are your thoughts on the Islanders and like the Bo Horvat deal and like where are they going to go from here? Because like they're in a confusing spot.
Yeah, I don't think they're making the playoffs next year. I think they got rid of two players. I correct me if I'm pronouncing his name wrong, but Ratti.
I think
I don't know
it's
how to pronounce his name.
I think it's A2 Ratty.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with what you said, and then Beauvillier, one promising prospect and one of your top players, and I believe there are two draft picks in that trade, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but I think Bo Horvat's a good player. Don't get me wrong; he's a good player, but I don't think that he really was given enough time to mesh in with his team. I feel like if the trade was made earlier on in the season, I think we'd be having a different conversation. But he played better with the Islanders than he did with Vancouver in the basically half the season. Um, I think he's a good addition, but I think that when you have and again, another player that's really good for them is Barzell,
Yeah,
right? It feels like you're wasting their careers if you are going to be in this limbo of where are we going to go? Because they have some promising young prospects. I mean, goaltending is not an issue, but
yeah,
I
Sorokin's a
think
great goalie.
that they need to have something to shake up that team uh, because if something doesn't change, it's going to continue to go down and down and down. I think they were outplayed that entire series. They were lucky that they got 2 games. They were lucky. And, I think if you're, again, Carolina is one of the best teams in the league. They've got a very good team. But I just think something needs to change, whether it's front office or it's in the locker room. Something needs to change.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. There is going to be some changes in New York, I think. And then the last team we'll do in our 2023 reviews for this episode is the Minnesota Wild. They lost in 6 games to the Dallas Stars. Are they ever going to make it past the first round?
See, I think they're becoming the new Leafs, except people don't hate the
They're
Minnesota
like the
Wild.
Leafs of the West, if I'm being
Yeah,
honest.
and the Minnesota Wild have always been a team that I mentioned this earlier in the show, but they've been that team that they've been mediocre, but they've been able to put together a pretty good team to potentially make a run. I think some of these players are at tail end of their career, like Flower. I don't know if I hope he comes back.
He's playing one
You
more
know,
season.
yeah, he's playing one more season. He's not a free agent though this offseason, is he?
I don't believe so.
No, I think they signed him to 2 years. But Flower, he had a very rough game too, very rough, and I think that's what set the tone for the series. I think once Dallas kind of noticed, hey, like these guys don't really have a set number one. It didn't feel like they had a number one goaltender going into this one. And they were willing to cycle their goaltenders willy-nilly. And I think they took advantage of that, took all the momentum that they could. And I mean, again, Dallas is a very good team, but Minnesota, something needs to change. It's been, and I love Billy G. Billy G is a great guy. He's a great general manager, and I have full faith in him that he's going to figure out something to do. He's got to make something happen. Because he's not going to have that job much longer if they're going to get bounced in the first round.
Yeah, I agree. There's got to be some changes in Minnesota. The core is definitely not working. It seems like every time they come up short in the playoffs, and Kirill Kaprizov did not have a good playoff series at all. I don't think he had any points, which is not going to work for your best player. So, yeah, definitely going to need some better play out of Minnesota for sure. That'll do it for our 2023 reviews. We're going to move on to prospect preview for this podcast. And this time it's Matvei Michkov. And I don't know how much you know about Michkov, Seth, but he's looking like he's going to be the next Ovechkin.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. That a lot of guys are very excited. He missed out on Bedard, one of the best players in this draft, but right at number 2, he got Michkov, and he's a guy that is going to, whatever franchise gets him, he's going to excel that franchise leaps and bounds above. If they're a rebuilding team, he's going to take them to new limits. And I think that Michkov is going to be a highly sought after player. I don't think we have something that happens like last year where we had Shane Wright, the end all be all 1-1 and then drop to 4. I don't think that's going to happen with Bedard unless he doesn't want to play for Chicago. But which again, I would completely understand if he didn't. But Michkov is young, he's fast, and he's got, like you mentioned, a lot of aspects in this game that reminds me of Ovi. And when you got someone like that, when you compare someone to Ovi, the greatest goal scorer of all time, he's got that record. It's his record now. There's no doubt in my mind that Ovi's going to beat the goal scoring record, but I think Michkov he's going to be a pretty good Russian player. He's going to be the future of Russian hockey in America.
Now, here's the problem. I don't know if you know about this, but he is actually signed under a KHL contract until 2025, 2026. And
I do know that.
That restricts him from coming to the NHL.
Now, is there anything like is he able to like opt out of that contract if he gets drafted?
I don't think so. Unless if he pulls like an Alex McGillney, like you remember the McGillney story where he snuck off from the Soviet Union. Unless if that happens, which I don't know if that could happen in today's world. I don't know if they have. I don't know. That's not my cup of tea. But unless if something like that happens, he's likely going to stay in Russia until then. So, and there's a slight possibility, like Patrick Kane, he might not come to the NHL. And in a deep draft like this year, you got to wonder, like, is he going to get passed on? And I think he probably will. I think he drops to around 4th overall. If I'm being brutally honest with you right now, I think he drops to around there.
See, I don't think he's going to fall too far. I think, like you said, he's going to be around 3 or 4, because he's the projected number 2, if I'm not mistaken, right?
He's actually the number 3. Well, there's been a lot of weird spots. He's like around 3 to 5 is what I've seen. Adam Fantilli's the guy who's second.
I forgot about him for a second. But I think Michkov is whatever team gets him, and if he comes to the NHL, he's going to be a wonderful asset for that team. But like you mentioned with the contract, I didn't know the stipulation where he couldn't come to the NHL, because I know there are some players that like are allowed to for whatever reason. But I think whatever team gets him is going to be well off.
Yeah,
this is a very deep draft.
It's going to be a team that, like, they're like far from being really good right now, and like they can get a player like this. So when they build this team up and they're really good, Michkov comes in immediately and starts playing for a really good team. That's very well what could happen. So I'm thinking like San Jose or Montreal could be the possible picks there, because Columbus and Anaheim still have a ways to go before they're there. But whoever gets him, sorry.
You go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say some stuff about his game, but he whoever gets him is gonna get a really good player, and there's no denying that. He brings every offensive tool to the table. Reading some of the notes off the articles I found, he has a wicked wrister, great elusiveness, and it looks like he has years of pro experience. He's playing with men in the Continental Hockey League over there in Russia, and I know there's all these weird St. Petersburg type stuff. And there's also that talk of how he hasn't played internationally because of all the stuff going on with the Ukraine war and all that, because they've banned Russia from playing in IIHF related tournaments. Seth, you're shaking your head. I don't know. I don't know how you
Yeah.
feel
See,
about
I don't.
that.
See, I understand why they do it. I completely understand, but at the same time, why you're going to punish the athletes for something that's not even in their control? It's not in their control.
Unless if they openly support it.
But
I mean, I don't know.
yeah,
Even
and
then,
I don't think anyone has. I don't think any
no, because they
any
know. Well,
com-
first off, they know that if they did, they would get destroyed by the media. But
yeah.
I don't think anybody would genuinely support war unless if they were a really big supporter of Putin or,
Yeah, and I don't think really anyone is. But
to be honest.
that but
Yeah, but Michkov I still think is a really solid player. He's playing against men there in the KHL, and I think he's going to be overall a really good player wherever he goes. So yeah, we got a little bit of time. So I know you wanted to talk about the first overall pick going to Chicago. It was a few weeks ago, but
yeah.
you talked about it at the very beginning of the episode. And since we're talking about draft and prospects, what are your thoughts on Chicago getting the first overall pick in Connor Bedard?
See, I don't look. I'm going to preface this by saying I agree. I don't think it's rigged, but the caveat being, well, they covered up SA allegations for 10 years, right? They didn't get a punishment. I know they got a fine, but I don't think they. You have teams like Arizona, right,
They
having the
didn't get draft picks
pre-drafts.
revoked.
Yeah, like the Arizona Coyotes had got a draft pick revoked for what, like pre-draft workouts or something like that, or
Yeah, it was
pre-draft
some weird
meetings.
thing, and we lost two picks, two
Yeah,
first-round picks.
which is nothing compared to what they covered up for 10 years.
And then the
And
Devils
then
too. The Devils
yeah,
got
they
fined
there was
even
an
more.
illegal contract
It
with
was cap circumvention or something like that, and
it was
the
something
Devils got
with
fined
Ilya
more.
Kovalchuk.
It was the
Yeah,
Kovalchuk stuff.
yeah.
They got fined more than
And
Chicago did.
yeah, and I feel like SA isn't taken as seriously, and
I think
it's
it's
certainly
serious.
a very upsetting story. And the fact that they got that pick, they don't deserve Bedard. They got rid of two of their franchise pieces, and now they're getting another one. That's
Yeah,
that's not fair. And I think the best place for him would have been Anaheim by far. I think a
honestly,
core four of Terry, of Z, you got McTavish over there. Adding him in there would make this team so exciting. But I think Chicago doesn't deserve that. I love saying Chicago because it's a shitty city,
yeah. I mean,
But
they did beat the Penguins and kind of killed their
see,
playoff.
that pisses me off because the fact that now we're seeing the Panthers. If the Penguins won that game, the Panthers would not be where they are right now.
Yeah,
They
they'd be
would
a
not be
horrible
in the Cup
playoff.
final. Bedard would not be going to Chicago. Though the silver lining is we got Dubas, so take that as you will. But I think
Yeah,
I think it's upsetting to me and to a lot of other fans that an organization that just went from having a fantastic few years with their stars, right, and now they got rid of them, and then they immediately get a new one. Like, come on, let another team shine for a bit.
yeah. I have a few thoughts. I understand why people think it's rigged because he's going to, first off, a market that is big. It's one of the original
Oh
six
yeah,
franchises. So it makes sense why you could say, oh, it's rigged for that reason. But saying it's rigged because of these sexual assaults doesn't make any sense. If they were gonna rig it for Chicago, wouldn't they rig it against them because of the sexual assaults? It just doesn't make
exactly.
sense. And then you
I
could talk
think
about the picks. The pick should have been revoked, and yeah, they should have. I won't deny that. It does suck, but honestly, for me, it is what it is. It's unfortunate. I honestly would have like to see Bedard go to either Anaheim or Columbus, because when you think about it, those markets are way smaller. And I was thinking about this too. When Anaheim got Trevor Zegras, and Zegras started being such a really good marketable player, Anaheim started filling up buildings. Even though like they were bad, they were the worst team in the league this year, they still sold out games at points. And if Bedard went to like Columbus, for example, if Bedard went to Columbus, that would have been great for Columbus, because Columbus, you can tell, like they're not that big of a hockey market. If they get Bedard, oh man, they're that grows hockey significantly there. But Chicago, I understand there's money to be made there, but I think I would have rather seen him go to a team like Columbus, or a team that doesn't have a big fan base, really.
Yeah, and I think a cool storyline would have been him going to Vancouver, because he's a Vancouver-born boy.
Yeah.
And I think that would have been cool. My friend BW, Brendan Williamson, he does a lot of hockey jersey designs, and he's a big Vancouver guy, and he was so upset because, like, he's the hometown hero, and it would have been just a perfect story for him to come home, and I think he would have been great for that group. But unfortunately, things happened, and Chicago got the first pick. But I think the reason why people think it's rigged is because whoever was doing the drafts, they would talk about the draft, like during the draft.
Oh, they didn't show
who it was. Yeah, they said that the pick would either be going to Anaheim or Chicago. But this was before they drew the Blue Jackets card.
Oh yeah, that was stupid too. And these people went on TikTok and said that it was rigged because Kevin Weeks said that Columbus got the pick before they announced it. I'm like, are you mental? Are you dumb? Look, I understand, like, people don't understand TV. They don't understand the film. Like, the NHL told ESPN, they told Sportsnet, they told the insiders too, who got the draft picks before it got announced to the public. Like, for example, when the Kraken had their expansion draft, those picks got leaked by an insider because, oh my God, it makes me so mad because people think that's why it's rigged, when it's just blatantly not true, and it's not even the definition of rigged. It's not even a justifiable reason. Like, they tell the people, like, that work with the TV networks, like ESPN, for example, mainly because they don't say everything off the top of their head. They read it off a teleprompter. They have a script that they go off of. They don't say it off the top of their heads. So, just makes me so angry. And the draft lottery made me lose my mind. I didn't like it going to Chicago. I didn't hate it, but I was kind of against it. And, like, I would have rather seen a different city, but it wasn't rigged. Definitely not.
Yeah. So. And I will say, you mentioned ESPN. I want to get your thoughts on how ESPN has treated the NHL in the last year or two.
I think the people who signed that deal should be fired in the NHL because they have done an absolute terrible job. First off, you can't even see a lot of the games. You can't see a lot of the games because they're all on ESPN Plus, and you have to pay to have ESPN Plus. So it takes away from growing the game at all. Like, it takes away. Now TNT, I think they've done a great job. I think they're way more fun to watch. And like the intermission crew, I think is a lot of fun. They bring on guys like John Cooper. They have Henrik Lundqvist on there. They have Paul Bissonnette. They have guys from the NBC crew that I really like. So they brought those guys in there, and that's why TNT is my favorite. But ESPN, like, with their intermission crew, they had a lot of potential, but I still think that, like, the overall marketing has been terrible. And they don't really post anything, and they haven't grown the game really whatsoever. And their numbers,
like, I saw a post or like something a little while ago where this was the start, I believe, the start of the playoffs, or at least all the day before the playoffs. There was one hockey post, and the rest, there were like 15 other posts, and 1 in 15. Like, come on, they're killing the game. And like you said, TNT is so much fun to watch. I think most people just tune in to see what Biz is going to say next.
Yeah.
Because, like he said, and I quote, "It gets me horned up for hockey on live television."
It makes the intermissions, like, more fun. Like,
yeah,
Sportsnet, it's like robots. Like, I can't watch Sportsnet.
Oh,
I love Friedman. I love the guys on Sportsnet, but they're not as fun as TNT are.
Oh yeah, because they got Wayne, they got Biz, they've got a lot of the NBC crew. Like
They
they got
brought Rick
Hendrik
Crockett on. They
Lundqvist.
brought like
Yeah,
they brought John Cooper on. Like they were bringing
PK.
people on. PK's on
Yeah, they brought
ESPN.
P. Oh, he is. Wasn't he on?
I
Wasn't
think he
he on
was
TNT
Anson
when
Carter.
he said that Toronto has to pack a Lizzo-sized lunch?
Oh, that was on ESPN. That was funny.
Was it?
PK is one of
Oh,
the ones that I enjoy on ESPN. But I wish
God,
he
I'd
was
love
on
to see him on
TNT.
the
That would make
TNT
it so
crew.
much better.
Yeah. See, I hate how ESPN has killed. I miss hearing Doc. Right, I knew he was retiring, but like NBC did such a great job with marketing the game. They actually put our games above like other sports,
Yeah.
and they actually it seemed like cared and liked hockey. But ESPN's like, oh yeah, it's just another sport under our belt. We've got a million sports. We're owned by Disney. We can, we make enough money as it is. Like we don't need to promote another sport. Like it's ridiculous
I
to
was
me.
thinking about like NBC and like the old NBC score bug. I miss it, man. I miss like the old times where the Penguins were playing the Flyers in the playoffs and they absolutely destroyed us in the playoffs. I miss those times. I miss times
Yeah,
when
I
we
mean,
were in the playoffs.
see, Doc is one of those guys that's a generational, like
Yeah,
semi-pro sports, college sports announcer, right? He's him and Mike Lang are the two people I look up to, and Doc. Everyone knew Doc. Everyone knew who he was
yeah.
just from hearing his voice, his intros, and just again, he's old. He can't do it forever. But I think having someone like that you need to find that if you're ESPN, you need to get rid of fucking Leah Hextall. She sucks.
I
Like
was going to ask that. Who's
replace her.
worse? Who's worse, Lee
Oh,
Hextall or Ron Hextall?
Ron, Ron.
Yeah,
I
probably.
take I take Leah over Ron all day
Ron
long.
didn't. Lee didn't destroy your team. Lee just destroyed your commentary.
Yeah, it makes her. She's so boring, and they need to find people. They need to hire people. And I understand if it's a little too like you know,
We're not being sexist at all, by the way. Like we're not.
yeah, like
We're not trying to be
I
sexist.
think
We're not trying to go
I
there.
think
But
you
she
need to
genuinely is
hire
not good.
someone because they're good, not be. Sorry, I just heard a horn honk outside for whatever reason. I don't know.
Oh, Lee Hextall's
Um,
at your house.
yeah, she's outside my house. She's mad at me now. She's calling me sexist. But I think people should be hired off of their background and if they're actually good. Like I think every commentator who is looking to break into the field either should have a reel, like a public reel that they share, and say, "Oh, do we like
Yeah,
this person?" And because it's easy for someone like an ESPN to make a decision. Oh, we like her, but you're going to get a lot of backlash if they're not good, because
exactly.
they don't come to listen to the play-by-play broadcaster; they come to watch the game. And the play-by-play broadcaster needs to have a personality in order for people to continue watching, because they can just mute the stream, right? But some people who like hearing the commentary want to hear what's going on, but they don't want to hear Leah Hextall. They want to hear someone who
Yeah,
actually has a personality. It's like she's a shell. Again, there's nothing against her person. It's just she's not made out for broadcasting. Like I'm sure I could do a better job at that than she is. I know she's making the big bucks, but Marie Phil, whatever her name is, it's Team USA.
yeah. The one. Yeah, the Team USA. I know. What you're
Yeah,
talking about. I can't remember her
but
name.
she's very good. Like I enjoy when she's on the broadcast. She's someone that I can listen to.
Emily
You
Kaplan,
know,
Jackie Redmond. They don't like
yeah,
commentate, but they're good. Jackie Redmond's
like
hot though. So.
they, yeah. I mean, they know what they're talking about too, and it seems like they actually have a personality and they want to be there and they love the game. And I think that's another way to grow the game is to actually have women who are actually good. And there
I
are
also want to
plenty
say
of
this
women who
too.
are good.
Yeah, I want to say this too. I don't want to like hate Lee Hextall. I don't hate her at all, but I feel like she only got that job because of her dad. Some
Yeah.
level, I feel like that's.
I'm just happy that she didn't get the job with the Penguins. I'm just,
Oh, that would.
I'll take, Yeah, I wouldn't be here right now. I will say that. Um, but yeah,
Lee Hextall really making you feel that sad, huh? Yeah.
she's horrible.
Yeah. We got
She
anything
makes me
else?
want to commit war crimes. Not off the top of my head, man.
I guess that's all we got. We went for almost 2 hours there. Thank you for coming on, Seth. I really appreciate it. I love talking hockey
Hey,
with you, man.
I love coming on here anytime you need me. If I'm free, I'm always down.
Yeah.
It's nice to have a quick turnaround. By about a month ago, coming on, and just it feels great to be back.
I know when you came on for that 45-minute segment, just for a little bit, I knew yeah, this guy's gonna have to come on for a full episode. He seems like a guy who this stuff. What you're talking about, and as well as that too. You run what, 3 radio stations, and you're a sports announcer.
Yeah, I got 3 shows. I don't run the station yet, but there are 3
Yeah.
shows that I do. And being my dream is I would love to do play-by-play broadcasting for hockey, but I think radio is my calling. I hope so. I mean, I got the voice. The voice
You do have
is
the voice. I absolutely agree with that.
Remember
me when
it's
you're
I've always been told.
Remember me when you're
I will, man.
for the Penguins, or maybe
I
I'll be
will.
there. Maybe I'll be there with you. Who knows?
Hopefully, that would be cool.
I mean, I'm 16. You're 21. We still got a lot of grinding to do. Me and you. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right, but anyways, thank you all very much for listening for episode 27 of the NordCast. If you guys did enjoy, please make sure to leave us a good review on whatever podcast platform you're listening on. If you're watching on YouTube, you stuck around for a 2-hour video. I'm impressed. Make sure to subscribe if you're new. We would greatly appreciate it. But yeah, thank you all very much for watching or listening, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Adios.